I remember the way Mum folded her hands when she said it. We're broke, Hannah. We just can't afford to take everyone to Spain this year. She didn't look at me when she spoke. She stared at the fruit bowl in the middle of the table, like it held the budget itself. We were in her semi-detached house outside Manchester, the one with the peeling conservatory roof and the old aga that only worked on Tuesdays. My brother Daniel leaned back in his chair and laughed. Well, that solves it then, he said lightly. Hannah can just stay home. Saves us a few £100. His kids giggled because children mirror tone before they understand meaning. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I didn't remind anyone that I hadn't asked to go, I just nodded. That was our rhythm. Daniel spoke, Mum softened, I adjusted. He ran a small construction company, Dawson Developments. New builds on the edge of town, extensions for people who called granite worktops instead of counters. Business had been and down for years, though his lifestyle rarely reflected the down. I worked in compliance at a regional bank in the city. I reviewed reports, patterns, quiet discrepancies. We were different in ways that never needed announcing. 2 days after that dinner, Daniel posted holiday photos, his wife reclining in a wide seat with a glass of Prosecco. The kids stretched across what was very clearly first class. Cream leather, privacy dividers, the lot. Daniel smiling at the camera like success had always been inevitable. The caption, much needed family reset. Hard work pays off. I studied the photo longer than I should have, not with envy. With recognition. The week before at work, I'd seen a name flicker across an internal monitoring report, Dawson Developments Lenti. A routine automated fly of unusual incoming transfers. Rapid outbound movement, structured amounts just under reporting thresholds. It hadn't been assigned to me. At the time, it was just another pattern. Now it wasn't. I didn't say anything at dinner the following Sunday. Mum served shepherd's pie and asked about the kids' flight like it was a miracle story. First class, Daniel said, grinning. Figured if we're going to do it, we'll do it properly. He didn't look at me when he said it. I felt the old instinct. To swallow, to shrink. But something inside me had shifted. Not anger, not revenge, clarity. On Monday morning, I requested the internal report file. Not to investigate, but to confirm whether I should formally declare a conflict of interest. The patterns were there. Repeated supplier payments that didn't match declared projects. Short-term loans from private investors cycling in and out within days. It could have been sloppy bookkeeping. It could have been something else. My job wasn't to judge intent. It was to uphold process. I filed a recusal notice. Personal connection to subject entity. That was all it said. Once recused, the case moved automatically to senior compliance. From there, if warranted, it escalated to external auditors, and, if serious enough, the Financial Crimes Unit. I did not follow up. I did not warn him. 2 weeks later, Mum called me at work. Her voice sounded smaller than I'd ever heard it. There were officers at Daniel's house this morning, she said. From some fraud unit. They froze the company accounts. The children were so upset. I closed my office door. They said it's probably just a review, she added quickly. As if saying it could make it true. Reviews have a sound to them. Firm knocks. Polite but immovable authority. Paperwork slid across kitchen tables. Laptops opened. Bank access restricted. They are not dramatic. They are procedural. That evening Mum insisted we all come over. Daniel looked different. Not broken. Not furious. Just stripped of volume. The swagger had drained out of him. This phone lay face down on the table, silent for once. They've frozen everything, he said flatly. Payroll. Accounts. Personal cards. Don't even know what they think I've done, he added. Defensive but softer than usual. I believed that part. I don't think he set out to be criminal. I think he cut corners during cash flow spuses. Shifted funds. Repaid them later. Told himself it balanced out. It often doesn't. Mum turned to me then. Not accusing. Searching. You work with these sorts of things, she said carefully. Is it serious? I chose my words the way I choose them at work. If there are irregularities, I said steady, they'll investigate. If it's administrative, it'll resolve. If it's more than that, they'll determine next steps. Daniel finally met my eyes. For a second, I thought he might accuse me. But he didn't. I'd followed procedure. There was no personal trace attached to the escalation. Only systems doing what systems do. I just wanted to give my kids something nice. He muttered. I thought of the dinner table. Of being told we were broke. Of first-class champagne. I'm sure you did. I said. The investigation dragged. Suppliers came forward. A few investors claimed they'd been misled about project timelines. It wasn't embezzlement. It wasn't dramatic fraud. It was misrepresentation and misuse of restricted funds, enough to trigger penalties, repayment plans and temporary suspension of operations. No prison. But no first-class flights either. By autumn, Daniel had downsized. Sold the SUV. Moved into a smaller rental while sorting liabilities. We sat again at Mum's table one Sunday. No one mentioned Spain. Daniel asked me, almost casually, do you think banks ever miss things? If someone just tidies up before audits? Sometimes. I said. But patterns surface eventually. He nodded, not bitter, just thoughtful. Something had changed between us. Not warmth. Not closeness, balance. I never told him about the recusal notice. There was no need. I hadn't sought revenge. I hadn't exposed him. I had simply refused to look away from what was already moving. Humiliation fades when you stop needing validation from the people who underestimate you. The last time we gathered, Mum suggested a modest caravan holiday in Wales. Self-catered. Everyone splitting evenly. Daniel glanced at me before answering. Yeah, he said quietly. That sounds fair. There was no apology. There didn't need to be, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel smaller at that table.